I'm here with Dmitry, and you're from Quest Software, right? And could you tell me a little bit about your role? Yeah.
Yep. So I work for Quest Software. Quest Software is a big Microsoft ISV partner. We do different infrastructure management software. And I work for our Windows Management business unit, and I'm in charge of new product research, new product development. So we normally look at the new cool technology coming from Microsoft and into the market and prototype stuff. And a fun job. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. And you got some sessions here at TechEd, yeah?
Yeah, I got a developer-oriented 400-level session on Friday. A lot of code, a lot of whatever.
And you got the birds of feather with all the people asking about cloud services and how that's going to transition, right?
Yeah, that one we had yesterday was a lot of fun with IT pros discussing what cloud computing is and what's coming.
Cool. So one of the questions I think are on a lot of different IT pros' minds. There's this BPOS that came out from Microsoft, and there's Amazon S3, there's the VMware's doing its different thing, but really just kind of like, well, man, when should I, decide what services or things that I should be thinking about going to the cloud with? And what is your answer to that on when should you do something like that?
I think that for a lot of things, the time has come. Like a lot of companies, if there are some internal prototyping, experimenting kind of services that they need to, before they roll it out internally for everyone, they just need to experiment. They find that it's much easier to get that compute power, storage power from Amazon or Microsoft or whoever, fire it up in the cloud, and then when it works, then maybe bring it in-house or maybe let it stay there. It depends on the company and their policies, etc. And obviously the online services like BPOS that you mentioned or like Salesforce.com, a lot of companies are using them and are happy to have someone else run the services that they consider to be a commodity and not something that they would like to be doing themselves.
Is there any guidelines from what you've seen on what to and what not to send to the cloud?
Right. We are a bit early, and there's a lot of confusion, and we don't know yet, and the whole compliance thing. Like if you need to be HIPAA compliant, like you have medical records or something, then you can get kind of worried of having that data not protected inside in your data center, but hosted by someone somewhere. And as one of the guys at the Birds of a Feather session yesterday, he works for a police department, and a lot of the data they have is sensitive, so they might want someone else to have that and be liable for the protection, etc. But he was feeling that the legal framework was not there yet, and we hadn't had any court cases yet, so we don't know what are the boundaries, etc. So if you have sensitive data, then you might want to go to your legal guys and talk to them. It might differ from country to country, from state to state. That's kind of hard to do a one-size-fits-all
Well,
answer.
right. I mean, obviously, everybody has a different approach on things, and regulations and compliance is one area, right? Have you seen any general best practices or really good successes with sending things to the cloud or having a mix of cloud and on-premise services in your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, another guy yesterday. So they had to distribute pretty large files to their customers around the globe, and they were spending a lot of money on maintaining that whole infrastructure and paying for that whole bandwidth. So they went with an online content distribution service that's doing that for them, and it was a natural fit because they are doing that through the internet anyways. So it wasn't that big of a risk and big of a change. But now they don't have to care about all that bandwidth and running the systems, and the guy was very happy with that.
Okay. What about with security, right? I mean, what are the security concerns that people need to be thinking about when moving their services to the cloud in general?
Data protection, absolutely. I assure whether it's a trusted vendor, whether you get good service level agreement from that vendor, that you're okay, review the contract that you're making with that vendor, consider whether the service, whether the data is going to be encrypted or not, etc., etc. But again, at the same time, don't be blind to your current practices. And a lot of the companies find that they themselves don't provide really high levels of security internally. Security can be expensive, so sometimes going into the cloud can actually make it more expensive if that cloud vendor has more resources to actually care about security. And then obviously the whole identity integration, like how are your employees, how do they get access to that data? Is it a separate username and